But I remember that beat. I just sent to everybody. I was like, "Yo, what do you think it is?" And I remember I prayed to God. I remember because I went to Coachella and I saw him perform. I was like, "Yo, this dude is like, he's next." Like I just felt like he was the next like big thing.
Everybody tuning in, you invited. No matter what mood you in, get excited. Everybody love the music, let me tell you how they do it. Whether writer or an agent, let me tell you how they made it. You are now talking to a silent giant. Wanna walk in their shoes, silent giants. Wanna study they moves, silent giants. Wanna know what they do, silent giants. Silent giants, y'all.
Welcome to the Silent Giants Podcast, a podcast highlighting the superstars behind your favorite superstars in creative industries. I'm your host, Corey Cambridge. To keep up with the latest on the show, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Silent Giants Podcast. Also, to keep up with my life, music, and more, be sure to follow me as well at Corey Cambridge. Today on the show, we have a very special guest, Grammy-nominated producer DJ DAHI, the silent giant behind Kendrick Lamar's album, Damn. In this episode, Dahi talks about his career, shares the stories behind Kendrick Lamar's money trees and Drake's worst behavior, and talks about working on Kendrick's latest album, Damn. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the Grammy-nominated producer, my friend, the silent giant, DJ DAHI.
So Dahi, first, welcome to the show, my man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, bro.
You know, it's very nice to have you.
My man Corey, man, he's the man in New York, man.
Oh man, come on, man. You the man in LA.
Trying to be.
You know, we by coastal out here running things.
Trying to be.
And so tell me about LA, man. What's it like growing up out there?
Los Angeles, man. The funny thing about LA, and I think that as a kid you don't realize it, but when you grow up, is just how big it is. It's really divided by freeways, you know, like you have obviously major metropolitans downtown, where it's like, you know, mostly used to be mainly like financial district and a lot of like corporate buildings and stuff like that. And nobody never really lived down there. And then you would obviously, you know, go from work or wherever you live, whatever, and just go down the freeway and just drive to wherever your city is. So in actuality, you never really had to interact with anybody in the entire city based off, and you drive on the freeway and you go home. Nobody fucking with public transportation.
You definitely can't be the brother on the bus, man.
You can't be the brother on the bus. You
know?
Look.
That divides.
In Los Angeles, for sure. Like
you're not getting any girls on the bus.
Oh, absolutely not.
Zero.
Absolutely not. It's like it's funny because we were just we were just talking about that yesterday. Like, you know, like if a girl would not holler at you if you ride the bus. My girlfriend's dad was saying he grew up in LA in the 60s and 70s, and he said, yeah, like even back then it was like, what kind of car you drive? He was like, damn, all right. And he moved to Virginia. You know what I'm saying? That's where he lives now. He's like, I don't want to deal with this.
You know the LA and New York over here, the two dynamics. Yeah. If I meet a girl in New York, you know what she's gonna tell me?
What?
So what do you do?
Okay. In LA, yeah, for sure. It's not even LA is not so much it is occupation, but it definitely is like what assets do you have? You know, like what are your assets? What do you own? What do you know? Because it's just kind of like the way the city is and the people who migrate there. But my experience growing up, I grew up in Inglewood, and then my parents kind of moved around a little bit, but we kind of moved every few years, but mostly was in between Inglewood and Hawthorne, which Hawthorne is like next to Inglewood, which is like the South Bay. But, you know, like I said, the crazy thing I didn't realize was that I really never really met, or I had interactions through church or through family friends when I was with like other cultures, but the majority of people that I hung out with was either black or Mexican or black and Latino, or, you know, just pretty much anybody from Central America and just African Americans who lived in the city. Because at the time, Inglewood and was probably about like 60. My high school was about like 60% Latino, like 40% black.
Okay.
I remember one Filipino kid and like one white kid that was in ROTC. I just remember him just like this one white kid. I was like, damn, man, you know what I'm saying? You just see that one white kid, you like, damn, I feel for you, man. You know what I'm saying? There definitely was, still heavy blood influence there, blood gangs and Crip gangs in the neighborhood. And but for me, God never really put me in a situation where I was like, I had to kind of deal with direct, gang violence. A lot of, like, I knew friends, and I had friends who either got killed or went to jail or had that whole lifestyle. But, for me, my interest was really into that lifestyle of just kind of getting into, some shit or having disagreements with people. It was more like, all right, cool. That's what y'all doing over here. It's all good. But for me, it was always just like, I kind of stayed to myself and played with certain kids in the neighborhood, got into skateboarding, was into comic books, was into anime, was into music, and that was kind of like my thing, and in growing up in that community, you kind of, I wouldn't say I was a weird kid, but a lot of it was me kind of just separating myself because I just, sometimes when you definitely go through identity crisis, just like, okay, I'm the black kid who likes this, or I'm the black who fucks with this. I don't know if they fuck with it, but I do. With rap music, I grew up listening to rap music, but it really wasn't a prominent aspect of, like, I knew all Tupac's lyrics, or I was fucking with Snoop Heavy or Dre, or, you know what I'm saying, Eastside. You just, all these different aspects of just like LA music I knew, but it wasn't like my thing. It was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Or I would know it just by them playing it in the
neighborhood around you,
or around me. You know what I'm saying? But I never bought a CD. I never had. If I was buying anything, I was probably buying a freaking John Coltrane CD, or because my dad had one or something, more just buying stuff that was playing in the house. My dad would go to the swap meet in El Camino College, called the Rodeum, and empty drive-in movie lot. They converted to like a swap meet on Sundays. Okay. So they just go out there and sell, everybody just sell whatever. So my dad would go in there, and I would just buy random instruments, just random bongos and drum sets and flutes and just. The funny thing is, he bought an instrument, but nobody in the house could play any of the shit. He just would go buy.
With decoration?
Yeah, like my stepdad would go buy, after watching like a Wesley Snipes movie, he would go swap me and buy nunchucks and some swords and like a fake black belt and just have it in the house, but nobody actually knew how to use any of this shit. Just like, just to go buy shit. So we used to have instruments in the house. So I kind of just started playing music in the house just for fun. Just like, oh, we got a drum set, and it's like, well, let me just go in there and just start, just start playing with stuff. And, there's a bass guitar in there. Oh, let me go in there and start playing with that. Just kind of fiddling around just because it was in the house. So
when did you start getting into wanting to produce music? Like, where was that in your life?
I probably didn't really know I wanted to produce until I was probably around like 24.
Whoa, really? Like, well, what did you want to be? What was your career track, and what did you want to become when you were a kid?
I would say the track I was going down was like, all right, I'll probably end up being a teacher. Like, that was one facet that I kind of felt was respectable, and I wasn't really tripping about the money. It was more like, all right, let me just. It seems like a cool field, and I love being around kids. Like, I love being around the youth, and kind of just their energy is always like kind of keeps me upbeat, So that was kind of my first inkling of like, that's what I think I really want to do.
And where'd you attend college?
UC Santa Cruz.
Okay, what was your college experience like?
It was beautiful, man. To me, that college was really the first time I really discovered hip hop, because I think, and even producers, like one of my friends from LA, like she was from Whittier, and I met her and we became really good close friends. And then so she just started taking me to concerts and just and putting me in like all these different spaces and playing me music, going to the record store, like, oh, you need to fuck with this, you need to get this, you get this. And it was like, okay. And then all of a sudden, like, it just kind of grew. It was like, oh, I remember this beat. I used to love this beat. Who made this? Or that was Dilla. Or who did this, do that? That was Premier. Who made this beat? That was Timberland. And you start to just figure out, like, oh, wow, damn. So this is, and for me, every hip-hop record I can tell you to date from high school, like, I don't know what the fuck they were saying, but I can tell you the beat like a motherfucker. And that's just how my ears were always attracted to the instrumentals. Like I would listen to the lyrics later. I usually listen to the lyrics maybe 3 or 4 times after I listen to the record. But when I first hear that, it's just the beat. That's all I listen to. I don't even listen to what the hell this person's talking about. Like it was the beat. It was the beat. And so that was kind of like my introduction when I was in college. That kind of helped me. Like, oh, okay, this is dope. And that's when I got into DJing, and that's when I got into like, kind of figuring out, oh, how do you make a beat? Oh, this is the software you use, and you start making beats from it. It wasn't really in college that I knew I was going to do producing. I think it was really probably when I graduated, and in that time span, I started to work with some local acts in the area, and started to just work with them and just kind of build with them. So I think when Dilla died, Jay Dilla died, which I think was in 2006 or 2007, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Around that time.
2006.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that was a huge part because I remember I just seen him perform, and I didn't realize to that point like he was that sick, and then he died, within that year. And in that time span, it just kind of definitely made me realize, man, I don't have time to really waste if I really have an interest in just doing anything with the arts or doing music or doing producing or whatever. Because even at that time, like I'm trying to, connect the dots and just get with people. But I still didn't even know if I was going to produce. I was just like, I'm just going to go down there and go to school. Like I went to school for audio engineering for a year when I moved to LA. And I was like, I'm just going to try to find a side job and kind of figure out, making beats. And that was the goal of it. But I didn't know, like, if I make it, what I'm saying, this is going to happen, because I think I had to take the risk and say, like, I don't want to have a job that I'm sitting in and I'm not really that happy. Like, I would wake up, I'm paid, like, I'm chilling, like, money's in my pocket and, when I have to work. Just that 9 to 5 hustle, but also to the release of just kind of getting off work and you just look towards the weekends.
Right.
Like, that lifestyle is I wouldn't even say it's bad, but I got comfortable. I got real comfortable with that thing, and I was like, no, I have no drive of doing this. And especially in the job, I wasn't happy. Like, I'm constantly looking at my watch, like, damn, when is it 5 o'clock? When is it 5 o'clock? When is it 5 o'clock?
Right.
And as music, it was like, you just lose time. So yeah, I just was like, yo, I really want to make this thing happen and make the move, and lo and behold, what I'm saying, I got there, and it took some time, but overall, it was just, I knew I just had to, because I just knew this particular thing I wasn't going to be happy in.
Who were some of the early acts you were making beats for?
Ah, man. One of the first beats I remember while I was in San Francisco was this rapper named Jernai, and he was a part of a group. I forgot the name of his group, Native something, or I could be wrong, but he was one of the first rappers I sold a beat to in San Francisco for like maybe like a couple $100 or something like that. And I was like, shit, I'll take $100 any day.
And what was that feeling like, having
somebody
like buy your beat?
I thought it was dope, man. Like I thought it was cool. I mean, I think overall it's like I think the idea of selling music is a plus and minus for the fact that I think, you want to make it, you want to be able to live off your art and do it. But those very beginning early stages, like, you just happy that somebody's fucking with your shit. Like, you think it's dope, but if I play it for you, you'd be like, damn, that's cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But somebody's like, yo, that shit's just kind of hot, man. Let me spit something on that. And so just that feeling of just like, oh man, okay, he really liked the beat. You know what I'm saying? He really was fucking with it. A lot of my beats at that time definitely still had a copycat feel. You know what I'm saying? Where somebody's like, oh, this sounds like, something that Black Milk would make. You know what I'm saying? Because Black Milk was like a huge influence in my production, because I just always loved his beats. So just kind of like knowing style-wise who I took a little piece from here and made it into this, and then that ended up liking it, because I knew, okay, he probably fucks with either Ninth Wonder or Black Milk or whoever. I got these type of beats and give it to him. So overall, it was just a great feeling. Like, it was just dope, because it was like oh, somebody actually likes my beats, you know. And the funny thing I used to actually do while I was in San Francisco, I used to do these beat competitions where I would go and it'd be like a rap battle, but you just go into a room and at a club and everybody just plays beats. So I did a couple of those in San Francisco, and that was really cool. Where I think at the time it was a couple of people from Hieroglyphics. They were in doing the judging, and they were fucking with a lot of my beats.
What was it like competing in the beat show?
Man, the funny thing about the beat show was like, it goes with rap battles too. It's like, it's not really about having a great beat. It's more about making the crowd react. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's more like having flips and turns and boop, 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 sound effects and, you know, in the movement show. It's not, that doesn't make you a great producer at all. And I remember I lost one battle to a friend of mine in college, and the funny thing is that in my head, like, I know I'm better than this cat. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not even night and day where it's like, I've heard your beats and I know my beats is like I just have that feeling that you don't have. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you don't have it. Like, God rained down on me and gave me this gift of making beats. You don't have it. You know what I'm saying? Just that feeling. But when I lost, I was like, okay, this is probably the most shameful thing I've experienced in a very long time, because I just knew, like, I was like, this motherfucker really, y'all really think this dude made a better beat to me? But it was all good. I wasn't bitter. I just kind of knew that. And, you know, especially your thing, you bring your friends, so you got a couple crowd, and everybody's like, yo, people. I brought like maybe 5 people, and he brought like 20 motherfuckers.
Right. Because it's also crowd reaction.
Yeah, crowd reaction.
So if you bring 20,
yeah, you bring 20,
like, they're gonna go hype.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that kind of kills the, like, all right, y'all niggas is tripping.
Where'd you get your moniker, DJ Dahi?
Dahi's my middle name.
Okay, what does that mean? I
have no idea. Everybody try to hit me with the since I'm African, what does Dahi mean? I say the great sunshine.
Yo, it is what you make it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's everything. It's all encompassing.
Yeah, but no, Dahi's my dad's first name.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the correlation.
Got it. What was the first moment in your career where you were like, yo, I think this is gonna work out, me being a producer?
To be honest, the first probably moment I knew, I was like, okay, I can actually like really like make something out of it, was probably when I had the Kendrick Lamar placement.
So how did that come about?
It came about really from just me working with my manager and a couple of my friends who were A&Rs at a few labels and stuff, and it was kind of a joint effort where, you know, I had started working with TDE first with Schoolboy Q when he had put out his project Habits and Contradiction, and I did a song called Sexton. And for that record, you know, people really fucked that record pretty tough. And so for me, meeting them, I kind of had a in with the whole TDE crew. And then I remember right after, I think Coachella had happened when Kendrick performed, I had sent Kendrick a couple of beats through my boy Tunji and also through Brock. And then, you know, I guess he heard one of them, and that was Money Trees. They ended up being Money Trees, the record that came out on A Good Kid, Mad City. And so I think that record kind of meant a lot for me, just the fact of, like, okay, like, just to be an artist of that caliber, that big, who had that big of a shine and who had that big of a, like, release, and also that big of a, like, you know, that kind of look was like, okay, damn, everybody kind of knows who I am now, somewhat. And even in that, beforehand, and I had other placements beforehand too. Like, I had records with Dom Kennedy, who was, you know, coming up in LA. I had a big rise. I did that record, My Type of Party, which was like one of his biggest records. And they just kind of really meet local artists and be like, yo, can I get on this? Can I get on this? Or just kind of building a good base of just like, okay, if you're in LA, you should fuck with Dahi, because he's first and foremost, he's working with LA artists. But also too, it's like that's a sound that's coming out of LA that I kind of became a part of.
Describe the scene for me in LA at that time, because you're bouncing around these different rappers and different producers, and getting in the scene. What was the scene like in LA at that moment?
It was great, man. Like, LA from literally probably from 2007 to 2000 and, you know, 12 had like a really kind of growing thing where you had a lot of people around my age started to work together and build, and from all parts of LA. So around 2007, when I moved back to Los Angeles from San Francisco, that's when they called it the New West was bubbling. So you had, Blue, which is a dope artist and growing up, and then you had Toronto Area Mari, you had Pac Div, you had Jack Davey, you had obviously Dom was a part of that. And those are just names that come off the top, but there was more artists kind of like bubbling in that first kind of shine where everybody was kind of like, oh, what's popping in LA? You know what I'm saying? A couple artists got on the Freshman XXL cover. People kind of like, went on these little tours. You and I, that was another group. You had a lot of people who were kind of just buzzing at that time. The thing that I think was dope about that time was that LA was real colorful for the first time. Yeah, you had cats wearing pink, blue, yellow, like light green, white, green. That's like, if you really think about LA, most LA when they think of
black. LA Raiders,
Dodger,
Kings,
maybe Kings. You know what I'm saying? And marijuana, because now everybody smoked weed, whatever. But at that time, if you really look at the artists who came out, like it was like some colorful shit. Like you really be like, damn, like this person's got a whole thing. From aesthetically, that was like LA was the perfect time to be in. And luckily I was from LA and I lived there, so I was like, oh shit, like damn, all I gotta do is just work with the local artists. And so that from that standpoint, like you said, me navigating, it was just a blessing, man, because it was natural and it was cool because like these are cats that I hung out with. You know what I'm saying? We would play 2K together, NBA 2K, just chill at the crib, be like, oh, it's cool. All right, let's go make some beats or let's get on some rap shit or whatever. And I just kind of naturally just kind of got introduced to all these kind of cliques of just like artists and stuff. This space because everybody was like friends. So at the time it was great, man. Like it's kind of like, now thinking about it now, it's definitely different. Like, because everybody's obviously older and everybody's maybe hit their 30s now or hit that, late 20s, whatever. And it's a new energy now where, and that new energy is, I think everybody has moved to LA. Like a lot of artists have moved to LA. So it's not like, I don't feel the same like, oh, this is an LA thing.
I want to fast forward to Kendrick and Money Trees and kind of go a little bit more in depth with that story. So Tunji presented that beat to. It
was a couple of different people. It was Tunji, because he worked at Interscope at the time, and then my manager Brock, he was cool with all the TDU cats. Like he worked with Schoolboy a lot. He started to work with Kendrick a lot. So it was a combination of like, both of them kind of like, hey, check this out, or hey, you should listen. You know what I'm saying? So and that was kind of good because when you start to hear this person out of the mouths of like 2 or 3 people, it's like, okay, this person probably got some dope shit. So, but I remember that beat. I just sent to everybody. I was like, yo, what do you think it is? And I remember I prayed to God. I remember because I went to Coachella and I saw him perform. I was like, yo, this dude is like, he's next. Like I just felt like he was the next like big thing. And I just remember at the time I was working at an art school, not art school. I was working at Marymount College in San Pedro, and I was as a dorm manager. So I was there and I was just working, and it was great because I had a lot of time to make beats while I was working that job because it was flexible with my time and it wasn't a regular 9 to 5. So I had time to make beats on the side. So I just remember just sitting in the room and just going through a lot of ideas that I had made. And it was great because, I think that was one of the first time I really felt like, my intention hit the mark. It was just like, I really wanted it to happen. I sent the beat out. A couple weeks later, I get hit up. Yo, Kendrick wrote some crazy joint to this record. Come through the studio. I meet Kendrick. I meet Soundwave. I'm hanging out at Top Dog's house, and he played it for me.
Me and my niggas tryna get it, yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch. Hit that house, nigga, tell me is you with it, yeah, bitch.
And it was kind of crazy because I had never heard a record like that before. It was like one of the feelings like, damn, what is this? And then it was like this Outkast trap mixed with West Coast vibe, but also alternative. like left shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of combination of just like, you know, like I know everybody's gonna like this song. It wasn't just for black people, it wasn't just for white people, it wasn't just for Latinos, Asian, it was just for everybody. So just hearing it for that, I was like, okay, damn, this record actually might do something. When it actually came out, that's just at my job. Like I was, and the funny thing is, a lot of the students knew I made beats, so they knew I was working with Kendrick and stuff, and it was just like this, you know, you just start getting the phone calls. It's like, yo, this song is crazy, or this is really dope, and
So you were working a job when it got released?
Yeah, I was working a job till, I didn't quit the job. I didn't even quit the job until maybe 2 or 3 years after the album came out, just because I had to still, you know, pay the bills, man.
Wow.
Yeah, you still, you think you get a placement on a major record, it's cool, but you're not making a lot of money at the very beginning. It's just like it's a build. So,
and so you were working a job when Worst Behavior came out?
Yep. So working a job when Worst Behavior came out. I mean, when Worst Behavior came out, that's when I was like, okay, I think I need to quit. That's when that's when I was like, okay, I think it's time.
Okay, so how did Drake's Worst Behavior? Because that was obviously the record that I would call that 2 weeks notice.
Yeah,
if I were you.
No, I mean it was cool because at the time the record came out and I had just signed a publishing deal with Sony. So initially I just made the beat from me kind of just hanging out at the studio one day and just experimenting and not really having any idea of like what this beat was going to be. I just was like, yo, I have this kind of groove idea in my head, and I was just playing with some different percussion melody stuff, and it was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then when I made the beat, I didn't send it to Drake at all. Like I didn't send the beat out to anything. I just sent it to my manager. He sent it to them. And then I think I got a call back. It was like, "Yo, can you send the files? Because I think we got one." And this was maybe 3 or 4 weeks before the album was supposed to come out. And I guess they had wrote an idea to it and really finished the song within like a couple of days. But then I got an email from 40. 40 was like, "Yo, what's up, Dahi? Got your email from blah blah blah. Can you send us the files for this record? Like we working on it and trying to get it real." So I was like, "Oh, that's serious." You know what I'm saying? You just like, that means something. And then I think Drake called me like that day or that night or something like that. He was like, "Yo, I'm in LA. I want to play you the record. Shit's fire. Like, come through. Like you gotta hear this shit." Like he was like, "Thank you for this beat, man. This is one of the craziest beats I ever heard." I was like, "Oh, cool. All right. I'll see you next week." And so so he comes out to LA, and this is when he shoots the video for what's the record? You Better Find My Love. And what's that?
Oh, Find My Love.
Find My Love, yeah, Find My Love. So he's shooting a video for that. So I meet him at the video shoot. And so I'm just hanging out at the video shoot, just like, you know, for a good hour, just kind of watching him act and do his stuff. And I'm just sitting in the back, and then he comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, bro." He gives me a hug, man. "Yeah, man. Thank you, bro. Thank you, man. Like, let's hang out after the shoot, whatever." I was like, all right. I was like, cool. So, so we hang out. And then I think we go to like some like restaurant, some spot, like some Beverly Hills crazy ass like luncheon spot, and you all hanging out, and I'm just like waiting to just hear the record. I'm just chilling. Drake's talking to his people, whatever, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just hanging out. Kind of like didn't know anybody. I knew a couple people, but I didn't know everybody, so I'm just kind of like amongst his crew. And so Oliver kind of like, "Yo, take him aside. I'm gonna play you the record." So he played the record. I'm like, okay, this is really gonna be something. This might be something. This might be something.
And so, where did he take you in the Beverly?
It was a, it was like a G-Wagon they had in the lot. You know what I'm saying? And they just like it just had had the music on the iPod or the iPhone. So he just played it for me there, and I was like, damn, this is kind of crazy.
Worst, motherfucker never loved us. Fucker never loved us. You ain't know now, you know now. Still at the scrub J's with a toothbrush. Shit. Niggas still playing my old shit.
So, it was a cool event because I knew, and I think that record was coming out like the next week or something like that. So it was just crazy. It was just one of the moments where you're just like, okay, this actually might really be something.
I'm gonna fast forward over to the newest stuff you're working on. You have 5 songs.
Yep.
On Damn. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite song on the album?
It's good question. The most creative song that I fuck with the most is probably Lust. I just think that the vibe of the record and how we made it move and feel, like it was just like, I just remember hearing it for the first time. It was like, yo, this is kind of crazy. I mean, Lust was really an idea that he had got from Bad Bad Not Good. Shout out to them, good friends, good homies. And so they had this idea they sent to Kendrick. And then Kendrick had Soundwave, his in-house producer, start an idea with it with these drums. And so when I came in, he started a verse and had some sketch idea with the drum and stuff, but it wasn't flushed out. So when I came in, I kind of like just kind of replaced all the parts and like, all right, so let me put this here, let me try that there. Let me try some different grooves. Like we always talk about like different drum grooves. Like, oh, we want this kind of swing from the 90s with this pocket, or let's listen to this Bad Boy record, but also listen to this, rock record here, and just start to piece it together. So literally, that record was just like we did a lot of surgery to it, and it probably took around like, a good couple months to actually finish, where it was like, okay, we're done trying stuff. Like, let's just kind of get the groove and try to, because one thing about working with him and working with Kendrick is cool is that, as long as we know we have the heart and soul of the record, that's when after that, we can really start experimenting. We can really start to be like, okay, let's take that out. Let's put this here. Let's put that there. Because the song just has to be a song. It has to be a full song, or a full concept. We're listening to a lot of like 90s rap grooves and stuff. It was like, yo, we love that pocket. So let's put that pocket on so people can dance, what I'm saying, afterwards when they hear the record, after the reverse drums groove and pocket. Mm-hmm. So just kind of like spending time of just like, listen to it, take stuff out,
Loyalty.
Yeah.
Give me the backstory behind that record.
Loyalty came from essentially just me and Kendrick being in the studio. He had this idea that Soundwave and I think Terrace Martin had started, and was pretty much the main sample of the melody looping in the beat. And so he came to the studio, brought the sample, loved it. Like, yo, I want to try to flip it. So I was like, all right, cool, pull it up. And then all of a sudden, I just started putting some drums on it. I was like, okay, let's fuck with these drums. So I put the drums on there, and it kind of came pretty fluid. Like I just grooved it, and then Kendrick and I just was in the studio, and we just started coming up with like kind of cadences and melody ideas for the record. And he had it in his mind, was like, yo, I want Rihanna to be on this. Like, he just had it in his mind, like, yo, this is going to be that type of record where I think to see if she can rap on something like this. And we just built it out, wrote it out, and it was dope because that was one of the first time where I actually got a chance to really write melodies on a record like that, where I came in and was like, yo, let's write this melody for that. And then he just kind of gave me the words, and I just sang it. And yeah, it kind of came out to being, he kept my vocals on the record and kept the pocket and stuff. And I wasn't in the session when him and Rihanna got in together to actually record and write the stuff, but I think they had a session in New York, and they also had a session in Los Angeles, and then he sent it back to me the next day. It was like, yo, what you think of this? And I was like, yo, this is kind of fire. In my head, I was like, man, I know I just a couple things I wanted to try. Like, I was like, oh, what if we tried this, these different type of drums under this, or tried this chord progression over stuff, and also too, like, making sure all the vocal takes is right. We get the right vocal takes, we get the right cuts, we get all this stuff. But and when it came out, I was like, yo, we got it right. Like, it just felt perfect. It felt good. Didn't need anything extra. It was just like it hit the mark of like, okay, this is a full record. And I think as a parent like that, people seem to really vibe with it, and people seem to really feel with the message. And it didn't feel like a forced collaboration. Like, it didn't feel like I'm trying to make a single, I'm trying to make a hit. It's like, yo, let's just make a really good song, and then let the fans kind of pick it and see where it goes. But It seems dope. It seems to hit that mark, and I think people seem to be in love with it. So,
Well, Dahi, man, thank you so much, man, for being here on the show.
Yes,
for
sir.
being a avid lover of Big Baller Brand.
why you gonna say that, man? You cold, man. You funny. Funny guys over here. Funny guys.
Dahi sent me a Big Baller Brand care package, man. No, I'm joking. I'm joking,
I
man.
did. It's on layaway. That's for sure.
Coming to a TJ Maxx near you. Coming to a Marshalls or Ross. No, but Dahi, thanks so much for being on the show, man. It's a pleasure having you.
No, thank you, bro.
And I can't wait to continue to follow you and watch you grow, man.
Hey, same as you, man. I love the show, man.
You're that dude.
Yeah, you too.